Welcome. Hey guys, how's it going? Today I am in the house, the villa of the one, the only Joel Brown. Joel Brown, what do you not do? He is an international speaker. He has a podcast. He has a website. It's Addicted to Success, right?
That's correct.
The website has over 200 and nearly 270 million visits.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever visited or heard of a website that has that many. Like maybe Amazon, Google. So welcome to the podcast, Joel. Welcome.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate you, man.
Yeah.
Thanks a million, and thanks for coming through. Yeah, dude. You know, when you say 270 million, it's crazy because I remember the first time I ever casted my 10-year vision.
Yeah.
I remember writing down that day, I'm gonna reach 10 million views in 10 years.
Yeah.
And isn't it funny that our mindset is, we think it's big, but at the time it's not, you know? And as we grow and expand with our mindset and what we see what's actually possible in reality, everything starts to shift, you know? I've been able to scale my dreams because I've committed to my vision.
Crazy. So let's go back to the time when you set that, or maybe even before. So take us back to who was Joel Brown as a kid? As a kid, who was he? Where are you from, by the way?
I'm from Perth, Western Australia. Yeah.
The accent.
Yep.
Australia, mate.
Australia,
right?
mate. Yeah. So yeah, as a kid, you know, it's funny because I was talking with somebody the other night, and she was sharing with me that when she was young, she used to get these little crystal rocks and super glue them all over a room and paint a room hot pink. She's like, "What did you used to do?" And it was funny because I was taking my mind back, and it was so nostalgic. I remember every Thursday evening we go to the movie store, and I would end up getting these movies that were wrapped up. They were what do you call them? Posters, movie posters. And so I'd grab one each time, right? And I'd end up sticking them up around my room. And I remember just covering all of my walls with all these movie posters. And then I would get to a point where there was no room left, so I'd cover it all over my ceiling. I remember my mom coming in and saying, "Joel, this is giving me a headache." And my dad would say, like, "Joel, you can't even watch half these movies." They were like MA 15 plus movies. And I remember the poster that was on my wall that stood out the most was this Michael Jordan poster. And I had the Space Jam poster. And I remember when I was 7 years old, I watched Space Jam, and I just felt like that was the first time I ever felt inspired to follow my dreams after watching a movie.
Crazy.
And I remember telling my mom, you know, I want to learn how to play basketball. I want to be like Mike. You know, and so she said, well, the way you do that is you got to read books. You know, you don't have access to him right now, but you can read books. And so she got me a book called Rare Air, which is the biography of Michael Jordan. And I remember taking it to school with me. It used to get taken off me in class because I used to read it all the time and not do my work. And I remember reading about habits. I remember reading about going and working with people or training with people that were better than you to increase your strengths, you know, and remove your weaknesses. And just really the mindset of a champion. And I think from a young age, I really just grasped that concept that it's totally possible for us to achieve our dreams. Yeah. If you are determined to work at it, and if you focus, you don't give up, if you surround yourself with the right people, and if you're resourceful enough to make it possible. And so I've just carried that into today, man. It hasn't left me. So
tell us about that dream. So that dream to be like Mike. That dream. What happened to that dream?
Oh man, up until like 13, 14, I got to a point where I was asked to play for state. I did really well in basketball, and then I got distracted. Instead of chasing the basketball around the court, I started chasing girls around school. And I got into hip hop and R&B music, and I started producing music. I did really well with that. Started DJing, got into radio. I ended up creating a show. I got put on a radio station. Fitzy here is also from Perth. He probably knows what it is. It's called Groove 101.7 FM. It was one of the big hip hop and R&B stations in Western Australia. And I used to go on MySpace. You remember MySpace, dude?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'd go on MySpace and I used to look up these hip hop artists, and I would reach out to them and say, "Hey, do you want some exposure on West Australia's biggest hip hop and R&B station?" And surprisingly, about 80% of them said yes. Wow. So there I was with this like dicky little mixer box that plugs into like a handset phone that runs into the wall on this extension, and was running it into a mixer into a computer, and was recording through my sound card these interviews that I was doing on international calling cards, bro.
That's crazy. That's great. Is that so? Like, obviously you're a serial entrepreneur. You're someone that is always addicted to success.
Yes.
And progressing and
Like
growing.
you. Just like you.
I mean, I believe that we're all creators. Like we all do
Yes.
things, and the more we tap into that, the more we get addicted to creating. But let's go into that one point. So there might be someone listening to this, and they have a dream that they're completely attached to. So let's say it's a dream of being someone who's famous in a specific thing, like you were in basketball.
Yep.
That changed for you. That evolved for you.
Right.
What for someone that's listening to this, if they're at a point in their life and they're like, I'm so addicted to achieving this one thing. When did you realize that, okay, it was fine to progress or grow out of that dream that you had to pursue being a professional basketball player?
That's a great question, man. I think it wasn't even just basketball. It was more so my passion started to shift. It was what I felt most alive in. I felt even more alive. I found myself filling my day more with music than with basketball, and my values started to shift, right? And you know, it's the same with relationships. Some people say like, oh, there's the one, or like, let's find the one, or I need to have my one. I don't think that you actually find the one. I think you become the one with that person. And that's really when you bring your values together and you create from that place. And I believe in multiple passions, you know, and the greatest thing you can do with passion to passion is to actually transfer the skill sets over. So when we talk about the music industry, I ended up managing songwriters and producers because when I was interviewing these people on radio, at the end of the interview, I would then pitch them beats, instrumentals that my producers that I was managing and songwriters that I was managing were putting together. I would sell it to them, and then it ended up landing in the hands of a Grammy Award-winning producer called Jim Johnson, and we ended up flying out to Miami, Florida. Wow. And and we ended up, you know, getting this whole record label deal underway. And
how old were you at this
I was
point?
19 years old.
Wow. So at an early age, you had a little bit of you know, the success. You were able to feel the early wins.
Yeah, I mean, it
You
didn't
were
feel like an
hustling.
early win
You
because
were selling.
I was hustling, bro. But the thing is, I got severely bullied throughout high school, and to me, high school was so much of a distraction for my dreams. But obviously, it's like society's necessary thing to do. Yeah. I just never connected with school, man. I was bored in school. I wasn't stimulated enough. I love to create things. I love taking risks and taking on challenges. I hated injustice. I want to change, you know. And so transferred that into entrepreneurship, and away we go. But you know, all the skill sets that I acquired even in the music industry, like reading contracts, negotiating deals, traveling around the world independently by myself at a young age, and finding win-wins, and also having the confidence to approach people that were considered celebrity superstars, people like Pharrell and Usher and Nelly and Lil Wayne, all these big people that I was meeting. I got to a point where I realized the greatness that is within them is also in me. And my students and my clients and, you know, people that come to our events. It's just a matter of getting out of our own way. And that's when I really was able to transfer incredible lessons to what we do today with, you know, this Addicted to Success, and with my own brand, and elevate the events that we run out here in Bali and around the world as well. And that's what it is.
I think that's really cool. Like we were just talking with one of our guests a couple days ago, and she is at the early stages of her development in success, and she just graduated into starting her own thing, and she was saying, it's like, it's crazy. It's like, it's crazy to look back at yourself and see it where I'm at right now. I'm the same person, and all the people around us that we worship or we adore, they're no different than us.
They're no different, bro.
It's crazy.
Yeah, I think they just learned something along the way that you know, maybe you haven't yet learned. You know, that's how I see it now. Is I meet billionaires, I meet multi-millionaires. I know, you know, like Joel Marion, I know Grant Cardone, I know Gary Vaynerchuk and Tony Robbins and all these guys. And when we get in conversation, you could literally be one example, one moment, one experience away from seeing them do something, being around it, seeing the energy shift, the way they show up, maybe one strategy, one letting go of some bullshit that's holding you back that could just take you to a whole new level. And that's the part that excites me most. That's what I'm most curious about, is like, how do we really, really level up And how do we get out of our own way? Because you got to ask yourself this question: what's blocking me and stopping me from realizing that I'm already there? I'm already in the place that I need to be. It's just that I've got some things here in the way. Let's remove that. So many people want strategies. You know, so many people want the hacks and the tips and the tricks. And you can learn that. It's all over YouTube. You know, it's all over podcasts. It's everywhere else. But so many people within their unconscious are held here, and their mind, their conscious is trying to go here, and it at some point it stops. There's a pull. There's resistance.
So what would you? So I resonate with that 100% because I believe that there's power in simplicity. Like there's so many. For instance, I'm trying to work on my body, right? And I've always been chasing all these deep strategies and these things, like all these different keto, vegan, like all these things. And I came to the realization, right? I got out from myself and was like, boiling it down to the basics is energy in versus energy out. So I've done a few things like a water fast and controlling what I eat and the energy that I put out and exercise and stuff like that. What is some advice that you could give to someone that is in a position right now where there's so many things in their mind and they're chasing all these different elaborate schemes and all that sort of stuff? What would you say to them to help them come down to reality? Be like, you only need to do a few more simple few things to achieve what you want.
I think the reason why most people have 10, 20, whatever projects, and I know this to be true because this was me, and at times could still be me, right? I think the reason why they do this is because they think that the answer is in all those things, and it's not. You know, like the lack of fulfillment, the loneliness, the feeling like I need to be validated, feeling like I need significance from this thing isn't found in that. It's found within you actually pouring back into yourself, right? That's self-love. When I wake up in the morning and I sit outside, you know, on the rooftop here and journal and just like sift through and get all the crap off the top of my head that shouldn't really be there. It's just kind of sat there because it's the unconscious moving within the programs of my mind has brought it to the surface. Moving that first and then meditating, visualizing my 5 years, my 10 years from now. That's rewarding myself with creativity. It's rewarding myself with setting myself up to win, right? Like living out here in beautiful Bali, this is an incredible environment. Our environment has a 40% effect on our mental state.
Wow.
Now, if I didn't care about myself and I didn't care about the creativity and the impact that I desire to bring into the world, I'd probably still be living in a shoebox apartment in New York, in Manhattan. You know, disconnected from nature and life and pushing against the grind, right? So I think you need to really audit your life as often as possible. I do it all the time, and I write out a list. What are my biggest concerns right now in my life? What are my most consistent complaints, concerns, and critiques? You know, what's showing up for me? What am I not quite happy with? Getting clear on what they are first and being real. I think a lot of people aren't being real with themselves. A lot of people are lying, man. And I hear a lot of people saying that they get lied to often. And I said, well, the reason why you get lied to is because people are lying to themselves. How can they possibly be honest with you? So I just really start with being honest with myself first, man, and going like, what am I experiencing right now? If I was to create something new in my life, what would that look like? And what would it take to get there? If I knew the price of something and I knew that there was something I needed to do in order to pay that price and I wanted it bad enough, am I willing to pay the price? Right? I think most people aren't willing to pay the price. And I had somebody really profound in my life, Bob Proctor, who said, you know, I was talking with him about the vision process at the Think and Grow Rich movie premiere when we were hanging out there. And you know, I was talking to him about that process and how I'm writing a book on the vision process. And he said to me, he said, Joel, you know, the thing is, a lot of people will ask the question of what do I want? He said, we need to make it more powerful than that, because that's just asked throughout life anyway. When you're a kid, you're a child. What do you want? What do you want? It's very basic. He says, but you got to ask yourself, what do I really want? He said, when you ask yourself that, really, that it removes any possibility of failure and opens opportunity for way more possibilities than we could ever imagine to be able to achieve success. And we know it, man. We know what we actually really need to do in order to get where we are. And I just think that a lot of people, like, honestly, are lazy. I think they're lazy. They're sitting on their hands. They already know what they need to do, but they're sitting in it because they want to be comfortable. And comfortability is a practice, man.
I resonate with that so much. I want to take that and segue that a little bit. Even Fitzy's smiling in the back because hard work is very important. And if you're a lazy person or you have these habits that suck the energy out of you, it's detrimental to your success. I resonate with that 100%. Yeah. What are some things if first of all it's to recognize that you are a lazy person takes a lot of self-awareness. Like most people, like I have to evaluate my day every single day and be like, okay, today I did not achieve this because I chose to be lazy in aspects. How does someone, if they are inherently lazy or there are things, it's funny that I'm talking about this, but if someone realizes, hey, I'm in a state of like I can't produce or I am distracted too easily, what are some things that they can do that will get them back into shape? What is something that they can do to be like to make them not as lazy as they are?
You got to start small. Like a lot of people are, I'd say, quote unquote, lazy because they're overwhelming themselves with what they think they actually have to do, right? They're not being realistic about where they're at. So if we can at least bring where they're at into realism and then go, what is it that I need to do? And you can still be excited about what you need to do. I think it's really great to have that, to go, okay, if I was to create this 5-year vision or this 10-year vision or even a year vision from now, what would it look like? Yep. Bring that into excitement, embody it in, and feel into it. What would it feel like to actually be in that place? I might not be feeling amazing right now, but how can I start actually moving my body on a cellular level to that place? And the truth is you can. You know, Dr. Joe Dispenza talks about it so beautifully and just says like that your body follows your mind. You know, your body is the unconscious, and so our job is to reprogram it, is to be the master of our mind, not the slave of it. And so many people wake up in the morning and they pick up their phone and they become, you know, slaves to the machines. I call it being ruled by the robots, right? The social media and everything else. We start comparing ourselves. We start really just like splitting our energy into 5 different things. We're not setting ourselves up to win. So I would say set yourself up to win. Get clear. What would your 1 year, 2 year, 5 year, 10-year vision, whatever works best for you, right? It's not too overwhelming. What would that look like? How would it feel? How would you act? How would you talk? Who would you surround yourself with? What distractions would you remove? You know, what would it really, in detail, what would it really be like to be in that experience?
Write that out, would you say?
Yeah, write it out. Absolutely, man. Pen to paper. You have to. You got to have a mind-body connection with it. And once you got that there, that's the pleasure. Now, the pain is usually the thing that, like, I mean, I know I do it. Yeah. I know I do it. When you were asking me, like, what is the thing that you did when you were younger to realize that you didn't want to do this and you did that instead? I started to experience pain. Like, I am moved quite a lot by the pain. I'm an all or nothing type of guy. I go right in, and it takes mass amounts of pain for me to really go, all right, I'm going to give up on this now, because I don't like to give up. Yeah. Right? But identifying the pain and going, what would my life look like? What would my life look like 10 years from now if I continue to wake up the same as I did each and every day, checking the same social media account, keeping the same toxic people in my life? What would it look like? If it was to look like this and feel like this 10 years from now, would I be happy with that? And most people would say no. I'd say 95% of people say no, because we're born to grow, man. We're like these plants here. Yeah. What they do, they grow up, they reach out like this, right?
I grew up on a farm.
To grow.
I grew up on a horticulture farm. We grew plants and trees and stuff like that. So it's at the essence of who I am too. Let's now go into. I'm really curious about this, and I'm sure a lot of the listeners are, and the people that are watching this. So, you're around 20, 25, and now you're. How old are you now?
I'm 32, going on 33.
All right, so 32 going on 33. In that time period, you've done a lot. You have done a lot. You've accomplished a lot. You have spoken and surrounded yourself with very successful people. You've been able to connect with those people. So I'm curious, how did you do it? How did you get on a call or get an interview with these people that have 100 times the influence that you had, I'm sure, at that one point?
Oh, man. Many different ways. You know, it was
give us
it was
3
case
tips.
by case. I'll give you 3 examples. The first one, Gary Vaynerchuk, right?
Yeah.
So with Gary, this is what I challenge you. If you're watching this right now, I listen to this right now, I challenge you to think about this. If you were approached by somebody, right, what would make you say yes? Okay, depending on your situation, wherever you're at. when I thought about Gary, I was like, what would make Gary say yes? What would be like an undeniable offer for Gary? Now, I know that Gary was spending, I remember hearing for 2 years straight, he kept talking about his book. My book. I'm writing my book. My book's coming out. Da, 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 da. He just kept going on and on about his book. It was jab, 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 right hook.
Yeah.
And I knew how important this book was to him because I put myself in the shoes of someone who would write a book. I hadn't written one by that point. So I was thinking, okay, you're sitting there for hours and hours, you know, most weeks, and talking about it with your team, and it consumes your life quite a lot. You know, it's a big project. And so I thought, okay, this is really important to him. He values it a lot, and he's about to market it, which means that he's not stopping talking about it. He's going to go on about it for at least another 6 months to a year or 2 years. So I approached him with, hey, Gary, you know, love your content. This is what I've built. You inspired me through your first book, Crush It, to really commit to building a website and a community online. Love the way that you engage with your audience. It's inspired me to do the same, and I'm seeing amazing results because of the advice that you shared, right? So see, I kind of speak to the ego. It's like, oh yeah, because I shared that thing, Joel is also getting results, of course. Like, that's great, right? So it speaks to his ego, and it's nice to hear anyway. And then I said to Gary, look, I'm willing to buy 25 copies of your book, but not only 25 copies for myself and my friends, I also want to give away copies of my book to my audience. And Gary knows that means way more exposure on his book. So that was an easy one for Gary. He's like, yes, let's do it straight away. And then and he said, come out to Manhattan, come out to Vayner Media Studios and office, and then we can record it. So did that, connected with Gary, became friends since then. He's jumped in my masterminds. He's featured on a couple other podcast interviews, and we've hung out a couple times. He's a great dude. Then we have Grant Cardone. So Grant Cardone was writing a lot of, you know, books. I think it was on his 4th book or so at the time when we first connected. But Grant reached out to me because he was inspired by what we were doing with Addicted to Success. He didn't have much video content out. Yep. He didn't really have traffic going to his website.
And now he's going crazy.
He's going nuts.
Now
man.
he's
he's going
like
nuts.
4 or 5 times a day.
Yeah. But he said to me, he said, Joel, I'm really inspired by the amount of reach that you have and how you're building a self-development community. He said, you inspire me, and this is what I want to do too. Yeah. And so that's what it was he ended up coming to me, and it's like, cool, let's jam out. Let's not just do one interview, let's do multiple. So he committed every time he put out a book to show up and you know, get interviewed on my podcast. So we've connected, we've spoken at events together as well. And then the last one is Tony Robbins. And there's obviously many other examples, but Tony Robbins, I set in my calendar to reach out to Tony about 10 times. No lie. I think it maybe it might have been about 9 times, but I reached out to as many people as possible. His assistant, his son Jerick, who I'm friends with, people that I knew that like were his publicists and in his marketing team. I just kept reaching. Finally, we got on a call and then had that conversation. And then Tony and I met again 6 months later when I was on set with Tony for a movie called We Rise Up. Yeah. And I had a great conversation with him then. Every time I talk with him, we have really powerful pinnacle moments in our conversations. So amazing stuff. The one other one I'd say, and I want you to think about this too, you don't necessarily have to have the platform like I did. You know, at that time I had millions of followers. I leveraged off people that I knew in my network that had reach and then combined forces with them. So I connected Tony Robbins with Nathan Chan from Founder Magazine. And then I said to Nathan, hey, could you hook me up with Deepak Chopra, because I saw that you did an interview with him. And in turn, what we could do is I could dissect the interview and pull some points from it that I do with him, and then give you more content for you to share on your social and in your next issue of your magazine. And he loved that idea, and so that's what we did. Was I approached Deepak's team with reach from my platform, but also reach on a magazine again as well. And so you just want to make your offer really juicy. You want to make it high value and make it something that is just, like I said, undeniable. When you give someone new exposure, it's like Mark Cuban wants new exposure. Bill Gates wants new exposure. These guys have money, but they always want new exposure.
Yeah, everybody wants new exposure.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Something, yeah. And guys, if you're, go back, watch that last section or listen to that last section 5-10 times. Ingrain it into your mind. Because the thing is, there's no difference between me and you and Joel and you as well. He gave you
more, guys.
He just gave you if you re-listen to that, he just gave you a juicy stack that you can offer to anybody that has a book, anybody that has influence. If you come at it from that point, You can interview anybody. You can connect with anybody. Doesn't matter what status you are, because every person, every successful person, every person that has a reach has their circle around them who's not the same level as them.
Yeah. Of course, man. There's always going to be more students than there are teachers, right? So there's always a place for you. The one other thing I'd say, if we're writing down strategies and tips right now, you guys want that? I'll definitely.
Let's go. Let's go. Okay, strategy and tips.
So, yeah, because I like my episodes as well to be tangible, man. So let's make it an actionable episode. I put my students in my shoes at one point because, you know, I looked at what they were achieving and they didn't have the big platform like I did. And I said to them, look, you guys are probably concerned because you don't have the big reach. So let's do it like this. If someone was to reach out to me, which they have many, many times, I've been reached out to by hundreds of podcasters and they've asked me to jump on their podcast. What used to happen was I do a podcast and I go for an hour and I just pour my heart and soul into it. And then, you know, a month later, I'd see the embedded player of the episode and there'd be like one play on it. And it frustrated me because it was like, you wanted me to be on there and give an hour, but you're not willing to get behind it to push it out there. And so that was only because they didn't get the podcasting game, right? And so a lot of people are like this, are reaching out to a lot of these big name guys and girls and wasting their time, essentially. I could have got more views on my own podcast, you know? So
in that 1 hour,
be smart.
could have gotten...
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the thing is, time is more important than money, right? Time, you never get back again. Money comes and goes. And so I looked at it like this. Okay, if someone was to reach out to me and to say, hey, Joe, I've got a new podcast. I'm like, 5 episodes deep or 10 episodes deep. I want to hear that they've at least done a little bit of work, right? And not just like I want to get you on the first episode. 5 or 10 episodes deep. I am willing to interview you for a quick 30 minutes, right? Not an hour, just a quick 30 minutes, because I'm confident to do that we can get the answers in 30. Quick 30 minutes. I'm willing to promote your episode on Instagram and Facebook, and I will guarantee you minimum of 20,000 plays, and we can share it on not just the video, in video form on these platforms, but also in audio on my podcast. How would that sound to you? Straight away, that's easy for me to say yes to that, right? You want to make it easy for me to say yes.
It's a stack.
Yeah, it's a stack, man. And I'm like, okay, cool. This person's willing to put some money behind it. And who knows, it might be $100, $200, 500. They may have to call in favors and get their friends to share it. But this person's willing to do that. And to me, that would be a big yes. So everyone has the opportunity. If you're listening right now, you have the opportunity to do the same thing. Get creative with the way that you bring value to others.
And if you want Joel on your podcast, you just he just told you exactly how you need it. It's just, you have to listen to the right people and then go and implement it. I think that's really cool. And then it for everybody, it's about the amount of value that you are bringing in. And then it's like, you have to follow that up as well, right? You have to show that you've done it before. You have to show that you can follow through with the offer that you have. So let's go into what so bring us. I like stories, and I like to cultivate and dig at some of your stories. I want to hear now a story from you, if you got some time, some moment in your life that was hard or a struggle that you went through that shaped you to who you are today.
Oh yeah, easy. 4.5 years ago, I had a big wedding in Positano, Italy, on the Amalfi Coast. Went through most of Europe on a honeymoon. Came out to Ubud, actually, in Bali, here in Indonesia. 4 months later, I caught my wife having an affair.
Sorry, you were married.
I was married 4.5 years ago, and then 4 months later, I caught her having an affair. And this was a moment where I was looking at her and thinking to myself, who is this person, right? Who is this stranger that I'd spent the last 5.5 years with, that I completely trusted, that we were looking at developing, courses, programs together, writing a book, and, had so much growth. Like, I remember starting Addicted to Success when I first met her, right? And built it out. And I looked at her just like, wow, like what is this? And the reason why I was looking at her in that way is because I had hung my identity up on that relationship. My identity was Mr. Success, successful relationship, successful business, successful lifestyle, successful friends, successful network, all that. And when that happened, it shattered my identity. And I went through this challenge of piecing it together and going, what would my 10-year vision look like now without her in it? You know, so that was like a big curveball that was thrown in my life. And we ended up parting ways. You know, I couldn't stay in it. I felt there was a lack of trust, which is the foundations of relationships, you know. And what's really beautiful is it put me on this track to learn over the first 2.5 years, this whole forgiveness process, which is what I actually now teach to my students. In the space of letting go, you know, because so many people haven't either forgiven somebody in their life, they become the victim, they blame, right? They don't take responsibility. They live a very disempowered life, which is why it's holding them back from launching their business and living the life that they desire. And also they become the victim to everything that happens to them. And I just decided I'm not going to be that person, you know. And I've actually developed a friendship with my ex-wife as well now. And so I think it's a beautiful thing to be able to go through a challenge like that and then to overcome it and still remain friends and be able to talk in that sense, and then also to be able to learn so much from it. And I didn't know how awesome that was until I started coaching people and realizing how many people were going through struggles. It doesn't necessarily have to be that, you know, their partner cheated on them. It could have been anything. It could have been that like their best friend committed suicide, or it could have been that they failed and went bankrupt and everyone around them left them, or a friend ripped them off, or whatever it may be. We all, on some human deep soul level, can connect and understand what it's like to have struggles within ourselves. And I almost embrace it when I experience these things. And I think the fact that I actually embrace it and I'm not scared of it, I'm not unconsciously bringing those fears into my life anymore, because I've accepted the fact that I'm a human being and that anything and anything could go. There's a certain amount that I can control, but what I can control most is how I respond to what shows up in my life instead of reacting to it. And that was the greatest lesson I ever learned, man. And I bring it into everything, man. I'm mindful of the friendships I have. I have incredible friends. Like just everything elevated after that, because I had to teach myself how to respect myself more, and I also needed to learn how to communicate better. There were things in a relationship that I could have improved on, which now, because I've improved on it, has improved my friendships, my family dynamics, the way that I show up and negotiate in business. I don't believe that we get in life what we deserve. We get what we negotiate. And if I keep showing up in relationships, and I'm sure there's somebody listening to this right now that keeps doing it, you keep settling and you keep minimizing who you are and maximizing that person and putting them on a pedestal and betraying yourself. Because if you were like me, you would put your value in what you have and what you've done rather than who you are. And so really going back to that, and it sounds like kind of soppy, and it's like, it's self-love, man. It's embracing you on a heart level of like, who am I? Like, am I really nurturing myself? Like the inner little Joel, you know, we're talking about like when you were young and you're like, oh, when you were young, how were you? I'm still that person. I haven't changed at the core. I still want love. I still want connection. I still want to be seen, heard, and understood. It's just that I've grown in the process and I've learned how to better manage it. And I think that that's what it is in life, is like, how do we manage our emotions? How do we respond? You know, how do we show up? What are our standards, right? How do we communicate these things? What are your non-negotiables in life? If you don't know what they are, people will walk all over you. And it's not their fault. It's yours because you're staying in it.
That's so powerful. I believe that there's someone listening to this podcast right now where someone has betrayed them. Someone has hurt them in a way that you were also betrayed in your relationship with your ex-wife. They need to forgive this person. How can you help them take that step of forgiveness?
Well, I don't help, I support.
How can you support?
Because I'm really happy that you said that, because so often a lot of people do say that. They say, I want to help everybody, I want to help. The difference is that helping assumes that somebody's broken and they need fixing. None of us are broken, right? Support it's already there. It's just a matter of managing it and going, how do we hold space for that to come out? I think in my experience, the biggest thing is this lack of actually forgiving ourselves. You know, I've been in relationships before where I've resented the person I'm with, only to find out by the end of the relationship, it wasn't even the person I was resenting, it was myself. I was resenting myself for staying in it, for accepting behaviors, for not voicing my concerns, right? And I think that with this whole forgiveness process for a lot of people, they're actually really angry at themselves. And what's behind anger is hurt. They're hurt because then that wounded little child that is not stepping up and going, yo, I'm really freaking hurting right now and I need support and I need someone to come in and, you know, really have this conversation with me in a way where it's no bullshit and it's real talk. Because I think a lot of people in society try and really sugarcoat things. They try and like, you know, like mollycoddle people, and that doesn't help. It doesn't help at all. And so I would just say, like, really sitting down with it and writing it out first and foremost to yourself, writing a letter and just, I forgive you. I forgive you for the times where you let this person walk all over you, for the times where you didn't put yourself first in priority and you put yourself on the back burner. I forgive you for being a people pleaser, you know, and giving away everything that you did because and putting yourself in this situation. Forgiving yourself first, it makes it a hell of a lot easier to forgive that other person when you realize that you've actually been a massive part of that experience. You know, even my wife cheating on me at the time, I was still part of that experience.
Yeah.
All the little decisions that were made along the way that led up to that point 5 years in, I was still part of that, bro.
Yeah.
It wasn't all her. And the moment I did that, I took my power back. I didn't no longer left it in the experience.
Yeah.
I got it, I filtered it through, and I grabbed it, put it back in my chest, and ran further with.
And then
more
because
power.
you did that, you were then able to approach her again and say, hey,
yeah,
I forgive you.
I accepted it.
And let's move on.
I accepted it.
And now you guys are friends.
Yeah, well, like we don't hang out all the time, but we're on talking terms and we have mutual respect. Yeah, yeah.
That's cool. That's wow, what a story. Thanks for sharing that. Now you are helping people in many different ways through the content that you share, through the speaking engagements that you set up, through the events, and through your circle. Can you talk a little bit about what that is, and we can maybe dive in?
For sure.
How do you help people through this?
Yeah, so I created this circle of influence 4.5 years back, actually 4 years back. And it's an online branding and marketing mastermind program where it's intimate, right? So I keep it at 20 people per season.
Cool.
I've launched 6 seasons of it so far. Typically the people that are in the circle of influence are those that are either aspiring speakers, coaches, or authors. Okay, some are established, some are just starting out, some are watching people out there that are crushing it, that, you know, like your Tom Bilyeu or Lewis Howes or Gabby Bernstein or, you know, Simon Sinek, or they're watching Tony Robbins, and they want to know, how can I create an inspirational brand? How do I become confident enough to be able to put myself on camera, to also have the knowledge, like so many people don't know where to start. They don't know what to focus on, right? They're told you've got to launch a podcast, you got to write a book, you've got to have a mastermind program, you got to do events, you got to, you know, have a YouTube channel. They just feel so overwhelmed.
There's so much advice out there.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Right? You know it, man. You know it. So it's really sitting down and customizing this for each person in the group. Everyone that comes in, I'm about developing leaders. So I bring them in and I sit down and go, what would your life look like if you were in a leadership position within this industry, in this world, in this space? And really going in on what's your platforms, what do you focus on? Because you could focus on everything if you wanted to, it's not effective, right? So focusing on the right platforms and modalities to get the message out there. Clarity, having clarity around what is your message. A lot of people don't know what their message is. I know a lot of people that have done really well in business, that have had crazy life experiences, that have traveled the world, that have had a life, like if you were to hear their story, it's like, damn, someone needs to shoot a movie on that, right?
Yeah.
But they don't know how to articulate that message. So my gift, one of my superpowers, is really ironing out and helping people to really find what their soul signature message is so they can share it powerfully with the world. Another thing is knowing how to be a dynamic speaker. I've been doing this for almost 10 years now, almost a decade. And I was shit scared when I first started, really scared to get on stage. First ever speech I ever did was at Mind Valley headquarters. I remember getting up, palms are sweaty. I dropped the projector remote. I was staring at the projector screen. Some guy in the audience was going like this, and I was like feeling that, felt like he was hating on me. I finished my speech at the 16-minute mark, and it was supposed to be a 20-minute speech. I was in my head. I practiced it 100 times. I don't do that anymore, you know, because I've learned how to come out of myself, not make it about me, but making it about the service and the impact that it can have on others. And so I teach how to really get out of your head and really into your heart and into your body, and really how to share from a place that is almost downloaded from whatever you want to call it, the universe or God or wherever it may be for you. You know, it's a very spiritual experience, and I'm very much spiritually connected with my students in a sense that we have the spiritual practices, and you know, I meditate on my students. I also teach them how to visualize so they can really embody this vision, you know, within themselves and embrace it. And this is what really creates a shift. You know, I work with my students on the mindset behind what it means to be an inspirational leader, to be a thought leader. There's 80% of it is mindset. You know, we've got the strategies and the techniques. That's 20%. That's easy. We can teach that. You know, you'll learn that over the 4 months, but it's the mindset. It's the engine up here that runs the show. And the reason why so many people go in and out of these programs is because they haven't got that part right. They keep hearing surface level. You got to stick to your habits. Yeah. You got to believe in yourself. Follow your dreams. What does that mean? Show me how to do it. What do I need to do that? Someone support me and hold me to that. How is that going to work if you're not held accountable? And that's what we do, is we hold you accountable in the circle of influence.
I think I love that. I love that point. Accountability. I think that is the greatest tool to help people achieve what they want to do. And you're right when you say there's so much advice out there. You want to learn anything, you can go online, and this is not a secret. You can Google anything.
Yeah.
But you cannot find a community. It's hard to find someone that will keep you accountable. So that's why it's very important to find community. So that's one thing that you do, is you help people. You keep people accountable to the goals and the things and the visions that they set for them, for themselves.
Yeah.
That's really
You need
cool.
a vision, man. You need a vision. And the thing too is, once you get really clear on your vision, you get to take that with you everywhere you go. And the more you embody it, the more it becomes your identity. And so a lot of people, what they do is they stray from their dreams because they're scared to step into the uncomfortable. Your comfort zone is your current identity. If you desire to create something 10 years from now that's way more epic than when you are, guess what? There's no escaping it. You have to get into the uncomfortable and stretch out your identity in order to create a new identity. You can't stay in the same identity and have different things in your life. So that's what we go through as well in the circle. It's interactive. We have 3 live calls a month as well. There's over 100 hours of recorded content. I've had people like Jay Shetty, Gary Vaynerchuk, Ty Lopez, Gabby Bernstein, Preston Smiles, Gerard Adams, Alexi Panos. We've got some real powerhouse teachers and leaders in there that have shared. And this is what I do when they come in and they go live with my students. I say to them, this isn't some, like lightweight interview process. We don't want that. I want you sharing the best of your best strategy. So they're actually teaching things they've implemented in their business that have made them more money, that has allowed them to get more reach, that has made them go viral. Jay Shetty did an incredible piece around how to go viral with video content.
Yeah, he's everywhere.
It's insane. Yeah, because he gets it, man. He gets it. He knows how to have that influence in the world, and this is what it is. So by the end of the program, you're going to learn how to powerfully influence, but in your own unique way. And so it's my baby, man. It's my signature program.
That's awesome. And you obviously have a lot of success through that. Past students, you've been doing it for the last 4 years. What is a story that you can share of someone that went through the program, and what are they doing now?
Oh yeah, I got many. David Norrie, who's one of my great students, he runs a speaking agency. So he teaches people how to speak powerfully on stage. He's created his own incredible frameworks. We sat down together and ironed out all the frameworks. He's a great teacher now, and multiple 6-figure programs that he runs. He has a podcast he's launched that's doing really well. He's getting some amazing guests on there. Who else? We have Amit Dunn out of London, UK. So he has a podcast. He's done really well. He's got some great guests on there, and he also runs workshops and events in London. Vipul Besania runs Know Your Legacy podcast. He's had over 200 guests on there.
Wow.
It's funny because I challenged him. I taught him how to set it up, and we walked through the process. I taught him how to monetize it. I also taught him how to get interviews as well. So we did that process, and because of everything that he's been able to learn on the interviews, he's got incredible mentors in his life now, just because of interviewing all these people, and even on top of that, he's now coaching people, and he's built a business around that as well. So my main focus is really finding people that are about inspiring others and then teaching them the right processes in an authentic way where they can sell authentically without this BS manipulation, snake oil charming, right? And doing it from the heart so you can feel good about the work that you do.
And then keeping them accountable to actually
Absolutely.
do it. I think that's actually such a good point. Like the aspect of authenticity. People look at sales, and in our company we do a lot of sales, but people look at sales and the art of selling as something that you need to be that sleazy salesman or saleswoman that has all the tricks and the manipulation and stuff like that.
Yeah.
When in reality, it's just being able to connect with someone on a heart level.
Just because they're trying to shortcut, man.
Yeah.
That's why.
Yeah.
They don't want to do it the way that you're actually supposed to do it because they've somehow convinced themselves there's a hack or a tip or a trick that's faster that's going to get them there without having to do the work. It doesn't work. I had to learn that early. I'm actually happy that I actually started out in cold call selling and slightly warm lead selling. I'd say it was slightly warm.
Would you suggest that to someone if someone's listening to the podcast?
I would say, you know, I was in it for a couple of years. You know, I read all the Grant Cardone books. I paid for programs. I had mentorship in sales, and I'm a good salesman. I get like 70-80% close rate on most of my programs if I can get on the phone. Do I want to do that all the time? No, you know, unless I really need to. But the reason why I'm good at it is because I actually give a shit about people.
Yeah.
The second thing is I really am excited and fired up about what I'm teaching.
Yeah.
And the third thing is I know I get results. I'm not trying to be big, and this is not just even about me. If you're listening right now and watching this, I want you to think about this. There are many people out there that are focused on being big. What's big? Lots of views, lots of likes, right? Fancy looking pictures. That's big. But the other side of the scale is those that are focused on being great. Those that are focused on being great are here to stay, right? They're here for that long-term evergreen success. They're really about building their career. They're about mastery in the game, and they're about getting results. Results is the only thing that matters. That's how you measure if you're great or not.
Yeah.
And so that's what I focus on, is getting my students to great, teaching them how to do that.
I think that's really amazing. I'm super happy that I met you and that we could sit down here and you could share a little bit about your story.
Yep. Thanks,
Being
man.
great is something that's beautiful, and helping people do that. And I believe that it's more on a deeper level, not on a surface level. And you obviously have been able to connect with the great and people that are big but also great, and people that have been able to impact so many people, and the people that you've trained now. You're just saying that one of your students, he's got 200 podcast episodes.
Yeah.
That means he's talked with maybe 200 people, and the people that have listened, like you have helped that come into existence. You have helped him become great, and so that's
I think
really cool.
Thank you. And you know what? I think that the ultimate level of inspiration is to show others what's possible through your own actions. That's what it really is about. It's not just saying it, it's doing it, and that's the greatest gift that we can give each other.
Yeah.
You know, when I see what you're up to, and I had a brief look through your content, and just having the conversation with you when you first came here, and hearing what you're up to, you're alive for life. Like, you're like about it. You're jumping into it. You're looking for things to create, and you got to find out what drives you. Like, why do you make money? Most people don't know why they make money. They're just making it to fill a void. But if you know why you make money, it's because you want to build more things and create more and serve more. It's such a beautiful place to get to. That's great self-awareness and realizations, you know? So, that's what we're all here to do.
Let's
awesome. Do that.
And I on that point, I think too that for someone listening, it's not wrong to be great. It's not wrong to strive to be successful in something. It's not wrong to chase a dream, because I believe, like, when I was younger and I had these crazy ideas, I was always told, no, you can't do that. You can't do that. I had so many people around me saying, no, that's impossible. Like, and you don't want to be that person, because when you're that person, people will start to hate on you.
Yeah.
Right?
I just look at the alternative. That sucks even more, bro.
It's
I know what the alternative is. I'm not going back there.
Yeah,
I will fight skin, hair, tooth, and nail to go back to a 9-to-5 job. I won't do it.
Yeah.
I just won't do it, bro.
It's amazing, guys. We might do a walk around after this that we might include on the video podcast, and Joel will just share the amazing villa that we're sitting here. He's created this as a hub, as a community. You're going to be throwing events here and stuff like that too?
Yeah, we've got a rooftop, so we're doing rooftop workshops.
Wow.
There, we're going to be filming it. I've got so many incredible people in my network, speakers, coaches, authors from around the world, amazing entrepreneurs that are coming out to Bali throughout the year. So we're starting to schedule in when they're coming out here. We've also got a podcast studio filming in there as well. So yeah, a lot of content creation this year. My book's coming out in 3 months from now.
What is the book called, and can we add that in the description?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So the book is called Never Settle: How to Master Your Extraordinary Vision. It's my whole entire vision framework that I've been teaching over the last 7 years now. You know, and this really is going to have massive impact because I've taught more than 400 students face to face, like sitting down one-on-one, and I've taught over 30,000 people over masterclasses and webinars and live events and everywhere else, the whole vision process. And I have so many success stories around it. I have most of my students achieving their 3rd and 4th year vision within the 1st year. And this is because
that's crazy.
Yeah, well, this is because they're living with intention now. Like, imagine what your life is like without a vision.
Yeah.
You don't have direction, right? You get up in the morning, you're kind of letting life happen to you. When you start getting really clear and really excited and really directional and really articulate, you start just attracting incredible things into your space.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
I think we're running out of juice here for one of the laptops. Let's wrap it up. How can people get in touch with you, and how can people join? If there's someone listening to this, I'm sure there's someone listening to this that they want to elevate their brand, their personality. How can they join your community, and how can they stay connected with who you are?
Yeah, so I would say, look, if you're interested in being a part of the circle of influence, it's an application-only process. I don't accept everybody into it.
Yeah.
I personally call applicants that qualify, get on the phone with them, have a conversation to see if it's the right fit for them. And this is really like a way to come into an intimate space, to really be part of conversations. Like, just so many entrepreneurs I meet are lone wolves. They feel like aliens. They're doing it by themselves. And so this is the space to be able to come in and meet like-minded people that are on the same journey as you, or similar journey to you, to really level up in a way you never had before. So go to iamjoelbrown.com/circle, and then you'll be able to apply there on the page. Make sure you apply. We're kicking off April 7th. Okay, so
cool.
Jump onto it, make it happen. And
we'll link it down in the description as well.
Do that for sure.
April 7th.
Yep.
And you got the book coming out too?
You got the book coming out, so you hear about that. That's going to be on pre-order soon. Also, head over to @IamJoelBrown on Instagram. Shoot me a message. I love connecting with my members, with my followers. I'm all about, jumping in the DMs and having conversations, and then seeing you eventually come out to an event or a workshop, because that's really what it's about. That's where the shift happens, and in online, intimate mastermind groups where we can actually do the work. Stop looking at quotes and looking at that as
boom. Hey, do you have quotes on your Instagram?
I got quotes on my Instagram.
All right.
But here's the thing. They're extractions of things that I'm teaching in my courses, and they're extractions of what I'm writing in my book, and they're extractions of what we speak about at the events. It's a philosophy. That's all it really is, to be honest. If you can grab a quote and then apply it to your life, that's great. But I'm speaking to the 90% that won't do that. That just keep looking to it and thinking that if I can trick myself into feeling that I'm good, that's going to change it. That's not how it works. You need to apply. That's why you need to take the action, get mentors, and be a part of the programs, and actually show up. Because that's what it's about, getting out of your comfort zone to expand your identity.
Awesome. Well, you heard it here. Don't be big, be great.
Yeah.
Joel Brown, thank you so much.
Love it, dude.
We're going to take a little tour. Stay in touch, guys. Like always, thank you for listening and watching another podcast. I'm really excited. I only bring on people on the podcast that I believe that can bring value and truth into your life. We don't run any ads on this podcast, so all we ask is that you share it on your social medias. If you felt like this brought value into your life, send it to someone that you can bring value into their life as well, guys.
Awesome.
It was awesome. Thanks for sharing a little bit of your story. We'll definitely have you back on in the future.
I'll have you on my podcast too.
All right, let's do it.
Rock and roll, man.
All right, guys. See you later, and have a blessed day. And if it's your birthday today, happy birthday. Bye-bye.
Ciao.